Hello, welcome back. I'm Darren, and today I'm just going to quick fire up a video. I'm going to upload a video shortly, and I'm just explaining in this that I decided to put together a one video showing the FSR 3.1 or the kind of just the small issues that I came across that I'd put into two separate videos. So I've kind of thrown them into one shorter video. And the reason being, I kind of saw quite a lot of content last night that was basically addressing that the whole the image looks different on FSR on a Nvidia GPU rather than if you're using FSR on a AMD GPU. Now, I explain in this video that I don't have the necessary tools or even the knowledge. Like, I'm pretty new to this. I've never done any type of video editing in my life. So the small amount I've learnt so far is already quite a lot for me. And there's not a great deal I can do, but I've tried to put two videos together running side by side, and I'll be honest, I didn't like it. And the reason I didn't like it was because I just found it removed too much of the overall image. Obviously, you're talking cutting down two images to fit into, one box, basically. And then you just lose a lot of the entire image. And in doing so, I found it kind of takes away what you can see, the different things that you can see throughout the entire 16:9 image. So I'm not great at that. I'm sure someone could do it a lot better. I've seen stuff where, the image will slide across and then slide back, and that's well above me. So, I'm hoping that a guy on YouTube, hold on, let me just look, called Terraware. If you haven't seen his channel, check it out. Really nice guy, does really good content. I don't think he should have a lot more interest in his channel, like he deserves to be, a big channel. Because he puts a lot of work into his videos, does a lot of explanation, talks over the videos so you can see exactly what he's going on about, and I enjoy that type of content. I'd say he's got the skills to maybe show if there is a difference in FSR on a AMD GPU versus a Nvidia GPU. I'm sure he'd be able to probably clarify that. He can slow things down, zoom things into whatever times, and if there was something to be seen, I'm sure he could do it. I'm kind of in between that. The best that I can do is try and use the same recording, or as close as I can to the same recording methods. I don't have any type of external capture, so I'm having to capture on the 4080 on the AV1, the Nvidia AV1 encoder, and then I'm having to capture on the 7900 XT on the AMD AV1 encoder. I don't know what sort of things that causes. It's a complicated thing, and I sat and googled it last night because there's so many arguments about it. It would be nice to have a definitive. There is absolutely no difference. By the comments I read, they make sense to me. And how can there be a difference? Obviously, it's software. It's not hardware based. So I completely understand that. And 99% of the comments I read were, it's impossible for there to be no difference. There is no difference. You get the odd person that tries to explain why there would be a difference, and it's above my head. It's too technical for me. I'm not, I don't know anything about the technicalities of programming and how all these things work. So I put up a video kind of trying to explain that. And if there is a difference, then I don't think the difference is significant enough that it would change anything that gets said. As in, the issues that I've picked up are there to be seen. So some people are trying to make it out that Nvidia or Nvidia owners, because Nvidia owners have access to FSR, then when they turn FSR on and they use FSR, they give FSR a bad name because it looks a lot worse on a Nvidia GPU. And if they would have had an AMD GPU and it looked a lot better, they wouldn't talk so badly about it. I personally don't see that. I don't. To me, it must be, if there is a difference, it's pretty small. Now, if FSR was that good, that the issues were that small, then A, they wouldn't be an issue, because it's not like DLSS is perfect. But B, it just wouldn't show up regardless of which one it was on. So the issues that I see are actual issues. And it's not like I see it on the 4080 and then when I play the same scenario through the XTX, they disappear. They're still blatantly there to be seen. Like I said, I've put a video up. I don't know. I haven't watched it back through myself, but I'm probably quite confident that the issues are there to be seen. I mean, in the video, all I've done is it's purely just an FSR 3.1 walkthrough on both systems. So effectively, if you watch that and you don't see my other two videos previously, it won't give you the context of probably the issues and how they disappear when you go back to native. So for someone that hasn't watched it, it wouldn't make sense if you don't watch my previous videos. But obviously the issues that I did pick up with FSR 3.1, which was the ghosting of the smaller objects and the water not looking particularly nice, those are all evident in there. So, and they're evident on both GPUs. Now, the other topic is colors. And colors I just find such a strange argument, I really do. And the reason is both manufacturers have a huge amount of choice available for you to just customize your own colors. So, and then plus, on top of that, everyone's monitor has plenty of different outputs of different colors. So, I don't know. I don't get the argument. Now, what I can say is I don't mess with the colors. My Nvidia GPU is using its default colors, and the games to me look how I would think that those games should look. I think they look really good. Some games that are, kind of more of a like a cartoon-based visual or design, I think generally tend to have far more colors that pop more in those type of things, whereas a more kind of natural looking, more like realistic visual, I find obviously does have, it's not so kind of over bright on certain colors. And I find that the same with the AMD or the Nvidia GPU. Now, I'm pretty sure it's another one of those arguments that it's so hard to actually find some sort of something concrete, because effectively I don't think it even needs to be an argument, if that makes sense. It's kind of, I think it's pretty petty, and I think it's kind of a non-argument, because you can no one's going to see colors and say, oh, that's perfect for me and I expect that to be perfect for everyone else. So everyone's going to say, okay, I prefer my colors to be a little bit more dulled down, or I prefer them to be a little more overexposed, or whatever it is that they want. Oversaturated. That's the word I was thinking, saturated, right? So you can do that yourself. I've got a feeling the only information I could ever find online was that Nvidia, and this could be completely wrong because it's that hard to try and find anything, that Nvidia is centered around a different color profile of something about it being 6,500K is what is the standard Nvidia profile and the AMD color temperature being more closer to 7000K, something like that. So obviously if that's true, then AMD will have a slightly warmer, standard tone to it, which will in effect make certain colors like greens and reds probably pop that a little bit more. But it's not as if that's a big deal, and to some people that level of saturation might be a little bit too much, so they'd want to dial it down a bit. Or on a Nvidia GPU, maybe your saturation isn't quite enough, so you want to dial it up a little bit more. There's plenty of tools available to do that. So I find it quite strange, and I certainly don't notice when swapping between mine. There's nothing that I particularly notice, certainly of any type of great importance. I see people saying, "Oh, I have to use my AMD GPU because as soon as I turn it on, the colors are just incredible." Okay. I'm yet to witness that, so either I'm doing something wrong or I don't know. I'd love to see it, but I can only be honest in what I say, and I don't. I think they look very similar. I might notice a little bit higher saturation when you go into, I think when you go into like, if you're on if you're not using HDR, so you're on a standard sort of like RGB, and you go into YouTube, which is always, I find, the worst for it. Like the reds on YouTube are so oversaturated, they can be a little bit painful, I find. And I might notice that a little bit more when I'm using my AMD GPU. When you actually go into games, I don't really notice that much. I kind of notice it a bit more on desktop applications, if anything. But at the same time, not particularly a good thing, because I find when I'm looking at something like that on the Nvidia side, I already find it oversaturated. So I don't particularly want it even more oversaturated. So it's just a personal thing. It really is. And like I say, you've got plenty of options to adjust things to suit you. It seems to me a very strange kind of, like, I understand nitpicking because I do it myself, because when you're doing a comparison, you have to nitpick. If you're not nitpicking, then effectively you're just going to say everything's identical. So there are stuff which is big and there's stuff that is small, and I put that down as a very small nitpick. Now, if it really is a huge issue to someone, then that's fair enough. I can't speak for everyone else. I can only speak for myself. But effectively, that's all I can do. I can only give my opinion, and if my opinion is enough for people, then that's fine. If it isn't, then that's fine. I'd say to anyone, never take one person's opinion. Always listening to as many opinions you can. When someone goes really to town on something that I'd consider quite a small issue, I'd be wary of that person. That's all I can say. Because you have to think, is this a big issue or is it not? And if you're making it to be this huge drama, then there's maybe a bit more incentive into what you're trying to accomplish than this quite small issue. Let me just say that. So I won't drag this video on for much longer. Like I said, I wanted to put it all into one video. I don't want to do any more on the subject because it now looks as if my channel will just be overrun with me trying to kind of slag off FSR 3.1, which is exactly not what I'm trying to do. It was just a case of everyone was, like I said, FSR 3.1 got introduced. I woke up, huge amount of hype over it. A lot of those kind of YouTube titles of as good as DLSS, better than DLSS, this is incredible, blah, 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 blah. And maybe the improvement that it made over the previous in those games that I didn't have anyway, so I hadn't seen the previous. maybe the improvement was huge. And if that's the case, then it probably did deserve the hype that it got. As I said, I hadn't witnessed what it looked like in those previous games, so for me it was a kind of a fresh start. Okay, this is cool, let's check it out. And unfortunately, within the first 30 seconds of me loading in, I saw kind of an issue that I thought was quite apparent. So I've ended up making quite a few videos on it, and I didn't really want to because it seems like I'm the super Nvidia shill anti-AMD, which isn't the case at all. I'd actually really like to see stuff get improved in AMD. I want them to start doing some AI upscaling. I just hope that it's going to be available for the 7000 series, because if not, that would be a bit of a kick in the teeth, if you know what I mean. But it's not like it's not something that Nvidia have done in the past, so they're all capable of doing it, and maybe AMD will do it. But I really think it's a route they need to go down, because at this moment in time, I can only believe that not using AI in the upscaling is causing limitations within the upscaling. Now, they might prove me wrong tomorrow, and if all of the issues that I've noticed in this new version disappear overnight in a new update, then happy days. They've just accomplished, something really good. And like I said, it's perfect for me because it's a win-win scenario. As soon as FSR gets an improvement, then this AMD system that's sat next to me on the desk here at the moment will be straight away moved into my sim racing machine, and I will be happily using it. Whereas at the moment, I kind of ended up going back to Nvidia on it because the games that I was using just looked better through the various software that I was able to use on Nvidia. And that wasn't even just an FSR situation. That was actually more of a VSR DSR situation, because unfortunately on my ultra wide, the resolution that I was trying to run VSR through just doesn't look very good. I don't know why. It looks very kind of blurry, and just it doesn't actually look like it takes all the performance of running 4K ultra wide and probably gives me the same visual as what I was getting when I was just running it at the 1440p. Whereas if I use DSR, it takes all the performance of using a 4K ultra wide resolution, but it actually gives me a far better image quality than the 1440p. So unfortunately, that's kind of a separate kind of issue, which I kind of went through on my Dell ultra wide kind of video that I put up. I might get into that. I might actually kind of do a side by side. Well, saying that, no, I won't do a side by side because I don't like them. But I might put up, because I don't really like talking about stuff that I can't back up. If I can't back something up, I don't really want to talk about it, which is why the whole FSR on an AMD versus FSR on a Nvidia is a little bit awkward, because I can't categorically say that there is no difference. In my mind, from my experience and from what I've seen, if there is a difference, it's pretty microscopic, to the point of it doesn't remove however small the difference might be. The issues will still be apparent if there is an issue, if that makes sense. So it's not like you only get ghosting in a scenario because it's on the Nvidia GPU. Well, I don't have that. As soon as I put in the AMD GPU, the ghosting exists on both of them. So I don't really know what to say about that. I'm not going to say I am 100% sure that's the fact, but I'm probably 99.5, or I might not even go that far. I'm 95% certain that probably is the case. And if I'm wrong, then I don't think that the difference is of significance. But again, it may be in a certain scenario it is. I can only go by what I've tested and by what I've seen. And unfortunately, probably through YouTube compression, you're just going to have to take my word for that, because I don't know how well it comes across in the videos. I don't actually really get time to watch my YouTube videos back once they're uploaded, so there might be stuff that I miss. But anyway, I'm going to stop it there. I'm going to upload this first, and then I'll upload straight after it the video of the side-by-side comparisons. Or I say side-by-side. They're not side-by-side. I didn't do side-by-side, but they're within the same video, so one goes straight to the next one in a smaller area, which kind of, I suppose realistically at the end of the day, if you get to a time zone and you see something, you can kind of flick between two different times to flick back to different things, if that's of any help. I don't know, but I'll fire it up anyway, and yeah, basically hopefully it might be of some clarification, or it might be of some help, or maybe it won't. But anyway, I'll leave it there, and I'll catch you in the next one.